Hi, I'm Dean, this is Woodwork Journey, and it's time for my woodwork shop tour. Ooh, how exciting. And welcome into the man cave, or the workshop, should I say. So what we've got here is a bunch of different stuff. I'll tell you all about each individual area in a moment, but just to let you know that this is a 3x4 meter workspace, and I'm very, very proud to have this much space to be able to do things, because I used to do a lot of metal work purely in a garage that was so small you couldn't fit a car in it. So yeah, that's what I was used to. So yeah, this is rather splendid. But let me break it down and I can tell you a little bit more about what we're dealing with. So while the space does look like it's pretty huge, you can see that the walkways that I've got either side of my center island, if you like, are here quite on purpose, rather than leaving myself a larger build area in the middle of the room, which, to be fair, would have been quite nice. But the reason that I've done this is because my legs do not work as they should do. So I tend to fall over quite a lot, and rather than falling into an empty space, which I have done in here when it was in a previous incarnation, I've now got this either side so I can grab either side, keep myself up, and I've got some extra stability while I'm in here. And that's something that I would certainly recommend for any sort of disabled woodworkers that might have slightly wobbly legs, or anyone that's got wobbly legs really. But make sure that surfaces are easy to grab from both sides, and that'll help you keep upright a little bit more. Okay, so some new builds to start with. Now this was a whole lot of drawer thingies that I got. It's all one unit, and I got these from Facebook Marketplace. I think these were sort of 20 quid. They're all metal and do a brilliant job of holding all manner of bits and pieces. I've got to put some proper labels on things, but yeah, it helps my organisation no end. And this is what inspired the build of everything that I've got on this side of the workshop. But I've got some space underneath there to put some more bits and bobs. I've got these to hold all manner of little pieces and bits and bobs. The top and the front of the doors are all made from laminate flooring, but we do have some thin ply underneath there as well, just to get me the extra height that I needed. But this laminate flooring I thought looked really nice. Again, freebie off Marketplace, or incredibly cheap, whatever, and is doing a grand job. Moving on to under the mitre station, I'll show you that in a little while, but this is a fake drawer. This doesn't actually work, but then we've got some soft close drawers going on there, and then we've got a big drawer going on underneath it. Now, one of the things that I would say from an organisational point of view, Chinese containers are brilliant. And so I've got dowels, I've got big dowels, I've got nails should I ever need them. I've got used torque screws, because that stuff, especially for inside the workshop, can be used. I can use those. And I have got a box of Phillips heads or posi drive screws as well. I try not to use them, posi drive. I much prefer Torx, but yeah, I've got a load here again for just a workshop project or something if it's needed, and that'll do the trick quite fine. I've then got some other storage in the side there in a big kind of drawer situation. On the other side of the table, near where I've got my dust extraction, I've just got another unit that I can put tools in. So jobs are good in there. Again, all of it is laminate flooring, and I think it looks really rather good. I think I probably will have to do something when it comes to facing everything to make it look a little bit nicer. But yeah. So I was going to do a how-to video when I put all these together to show how to make such cabinets. However, the problem was I didn't really know what I was doing, and I didn't want to kind of take you guys along for the ride if I had no idea what was happening, and that became very, very, very noticeable very early doors. So I actually went through and made these anyway and didn't record the whole process, and what that means is now I'm going to be doing a video very shortly explaining what I learned through the process, how I knew I didn't have the expertise to do what I was trying to do, and what I did to overcome that, what I'll do differently next time, and all that sort of good nonsense. I mean, I'm very pleased with how things are, especially that all of these cabinets are on wheels, but yeah, there were mistakes made, and hopefully I can let you guys know all about that so you don't make them yourself. Alrighty then, so over here we've got the cheap Titan miter saw that I did a video on a little while ago. It was the cheapest one that I could find at the time, and I've built a box that you can actually just lift off it, and it does have a like a black stretchy material behind there that stops all of the chips and what have you from flying out the front, which I thought was rather good. Like I say, I can move this whole box if I want to. Now then, at the top here, obviously that connects to my dust extraction system, which I've still not put this hose in yet, but that is on the cards for something to do fairly soon. But yeah, that's worked out really nicely. Now either side of that, I've got some storage. I've got bolts and what have you over on that side. Oh, and excuse the button-up box there. We get Pepper's food through button-up box, and it's marvellous. Really, really good. If you've not seen them, check them out. I'll see if I've got a code. Not because they sent it to me, they do for everybody. But yeah, anyway, really good stuff. So right here is my screw storage. Now, when it comes to organisation, I thought I was clever by putting all of these things. I think these were van storage again at some point in time, but I thought I was clever by putting all these kind of little labels on to show what was in there. Turns out didn't work as well as I'd hoped, and very quickly it was a case where these little puppies would be taken out, put somewhere else, and then I'd forget what was what, and it'd all go horribly, horribly wrong. So what I'm doing now, because when I put this together, I was using mostly kind of multi-packs from Screwfix of Torx screws, but now I'm trying to replenish just the ones that I need when I run out of that size. And that means that when I have these, I can then pop them in the little container and then just click off the label on the top of the box for them and stick it onto that, so I know exactly what I've got, and then when I run out of them, I can just go, oh yeah, I need some of those. Underneath there I do have my phone charger, which I made a video about some time ago, which was the start of a series, Can You Woodwork and Make Money? This is something that I will be finishing, absolutely, but what I didn't take into account when I first started that series as a beginner was what I wanted to do within the workshop itself to allow me the ability to do things like build stuff as easily as possible. So my time has been spent mostly on building stuff in this workshop, and in fact that's something that I'd really like to talk about. Just bear with me for a second. Obviously it would be wonderful to be able to sort of start your woodworking career and then be making stuff for other people and earning loads of money and all that sort of nonsense, but like with my cabinets and stuff, I realized that I didn't have the knowledge necessary to be able to do what I wanted to do. And the thing is, you don't know what you don't know. So yes, you can go and look things up on YouTube or whatever, but if you don't know that you need to be putting in a certain type of joint, or you don't know what kind of wood you need to use or something along those lines, then if you don't know that you don't know it, you can't search for it. Does that make any sense? So yeah, I've actually spent so much time making pretty much everything in this workshop because it's given me the experience that I needed to be able to make things properly moving forward, and it's also given me the space and the organisation so I can do it with as little stress as possible. So for any beginners or sort of new to woodworking people, I would strongly suggest make everything if you can. And there's, you know, Facebook Marketplace to get wood, there's all sorts of stuff you can do to get things on the cheap and get that stuff. It doesn't have to be brilliant. I don't care what the stuff looks like in my workshop, to be fair. I'd like it to look nice, but if it looks a little bit wobbly, so be it. It's in the workshop, you know, it's there to be used. It's another tool. So I've learned things by building every single thing in this workshop, and I strongly suggest that you do too. Anyway, let's carry on. All right, so just over in this area, I've got my PBS 75A Bosch belt sander, which does a grand job. It's a bit of a beast, and I will be building an enclosure for it at some point soon, but yeah, that's that at the moment, which is great. We've also got this drill here, which is a performance something. I've had this for many years, and it's absolute garbage, but it's horribly underpowered. But I put a countersink bit in it thinking that it would be strong enough just to be able to countersink stuff. I've charged the battery up today. It's not really man enough for the job, to be honest. I'm not going to lie. So yeah, I might have to see what else I can find on Marketplace to replace that at some point in time. I'm starting to build a little charging station going on right here, just on this bit of wood at the moment. I'll sort out all my cabling and all that sort of nonsense later down the line. Over here we've got a Hilker bench drilling, words! A Hilker bench drilling machine, which I've had for many years. I did a lot of metal work on this and all sorts of things. I had a belt on it for years and years and years that was so tight you could not change the speed. I've recently been buying different belts to try and find something to fit. This one is it works and it's fine, but unfortunately I've had to move the back section back so far that I now can't close the lid without it banging on stuff on the rear spindly thing. So that's a bugger, but again, super old, does what I need it to do for the most part. I would like something that's got one of them sort of cranks on the back of it, rather than kind of reaching around, because it does put a little bit of stress on the back, but otherwise, you know, it's fine. Would I like a massive great big pillar drill? Yes. But will that do the trick? Also yes. Then we're moving on to the Titan bandsaw. Obviously, I've done a video about this one as well, which is great. Recently, a new acquisition or a new thing that's been added to it is this stop button, which was very kindly sent on from Stu at SP Wood Creations, which is brilliant. Just helps me be a little bit safer. I strongly suggest checking him out for all of these sort of things. I think they're great. I'm going to be certainly buying more off him. But yeah, that's my Titan drill. Above that, I do have a video light, which I'm not using today, but I can flick that on at the flick of a switch and everyone's a winner. Now then, over here I do have my dust collection, which I covered in my dust collection video the other day. But one thing that I will say, and what everybody should do, is magnets. Put more magnets on things, because magnets, I just stuck these on the back of this remote earlier on this morning, and it just means that I can stick it where I want to, and I know where that is at all times, which just makes life a little bit easier. Something that's often forgotten in workshops is seating, and I've got this one as a spare seat that can sit up against the main table, and then I've got this one if I want to just sit back and chill, and it's got a table on it and all sorts of things, and is a lot lower. But yeah, great to have some extra seating there. Now we've got some extra hardwood storage down at the bottom there. Now this was the flip table that I built, which did a marvellous job. It's on wheels. And I thought I'll stick the planer thicknesser on top of that, that'll work lovely. It does, however the problem is, obviously with all that stuff underneath it I can't flip it anymore, but also, and more importantly, it's so heavy with all of that hardwood that I can't actually pull it out, which is a bit of a bugger. But down here I've got stone, I haven't got any laminate flooring on this bit of the floor down here, so that might have to change at some point in the future. But yeah, that's where my thickness planer lives, which, you know, is fine. It does what it does, but the problem I've got with it at the moment is I can't really use it because I can't pull it out to have space because my dust collection's in the way. So yeah, that's something to work on. I've got my Urbar orbital sander there, and I've got a cordless circular saw there as well, just because they haven't got a home as yet. We've got a, this is a doorway here, a blocked off doorway, because we rent this property, and the other side of this wall is the other half of the garage, which the landlord has just had stuff stored in for many years. He never goes in it, he never comes over or anything, but that's just a storage place for him. So it means that if I could get that, that would be amazing. There's a window in there and everything. But yeah, that means that in that doorway, I've just put a couple of little shelves up using mostly laminate flooring, a couple of old bits of pine as well, and that just holds all of my goings that I need to look after. For those that like to know the makes and brands and stuff that people use, I've got two of Keith Rag & Bone Brown's waxes. I've got his food safe and his non-food safe one. I don't know if that was in focus at all. We've also got some Treatex hard wax oil, which they did send me, which is very kind of them. We've got various other oils. Now this is something that I've only just started using. This no nonsense Danish oil is from Screwfix and was horribly cheap. I mean, super cheap for what it is. So that's certainly, it seems to be fine so far. I've got some homemade wax going on there. That's the thickest thing in the world. Got some linseed oil, bits and bobs, and different finishes and stuff. Now then, up the top there, we also have a lot of things. One of the best things I find for my workshop is this WD-40 anti-friction dry PTFE lubricant. I love that, and I put that on as many things as I can because I think that works really, really well. We've got Mitre Fast, which I got on a deal. I bought that on Amazon, and that works perfectly fine for me for the time being. So yeah, I've got plenty of that. and then I've got some spray paint and other bits and bobs as well. Going on right here is my Clark Woodworker chip collector, which is a beast. Was another Facebook Marketplace find. I can't remember how much I paid for it, but it wasn't very much. It's a 1 horsepower affair, which this will be hooked up to some hard pipe that goes underneath my table saw, and also it will collect chips from the thickness planer when I've got all that sorted out. So that's kind of what I've done there. I also use it at the minute as I throw the hose on the floor, turn it on, and then sweep stuff into it, which just makes life a little bit easier. Turning our back on that chip collector for a moment, what you can see here is something that, just a couple of little hacks that just make life so much easier. A big kind of toilet roll holder looking thing, just made out of scrap, just to hold my blue roll at the end of my workbench, because that just seems to make sense for me. And yeah, that works out really nicely. We've also got a holder for, or a screw just in there for holding a dustpan brush or a dustpan. Right there, this is something else that I did, stuck another magnet to that at the end of the workbench, so I always know where that brush is, which is brilliant. I've also got a bag of extra kind of rags and stuff going on there as well. But yeah, that works out really nicely at the end of my workbench. So this area comes in pretty clutch. Behind this is a cabinet that I bought 2 of recently off Marketplace, and didn't realise how small they were. So it's currently sitting on top of just a little plastic kind of bookshelfy thing, which is not ideal. To be fair, I'm not going to lie, it's not ideal, but it does what it needs to do for the moment. On the top there, we've got a little slidey drawer for my PPE, so that makes life nice and easy. We've got some wood that came from Wilton Griffith at Christmas time, which I was going to be making, or which I will be using to make more of the phone stands, which I made the videos about ages ago. But as I mentioned earlier on, there's been reasons for that. That hasn't happened as yet, but I've still got the wood here, and that's nicely dry. The cabinet, the most important thing is, other than this wonderful sticker wall that's on the front of it, is inside there, we also have a coffee machine. We've got a coffee, we've got a little Tassimo going on there, coffee and stuff. So I've got plenty of that. Can you buy tea, Tassimo pods that are tea? Can you? I need some if you can, let me know. But yeah, so that's a recent addition and something that I'm really rather happy with. Alrighty, I'm coming over to this. This is a wardrobe that I picked up recently again off Facebook Marketplace. It's a mamas and papas one, which is I think for an infant's room, but it's made of really solid wood, so it's really, really good. In there, I'm not going to show you, but in there is a lot of kind of like garden tools and tool stuff that hasn't got another home anywhere else. It's a bit of a mess, but it does what it needs to do. More of a mess on the top there. I've got a little chainsaw that I need to replace the carb on, see if I can get that working again. And I've got a piece of artwork. I've got some lathe pieces and stuff, because I want to try and put a lathe together at some point. And over here we've got my staple gun that I did a video about a little while ago, which is still going brilliantly, and it's one of the best purchases that I've made when it comes to tools. So yeah, when you've got a brad nailer / staple gun in your life does get easier. Up here we do have some chisels, which are something that Ox Tools sent me at Christmas, but I've got to still do the review on those. There's been varying reasons why that hasn't been done quite yet, but that will be getting done very, very soon. And then on the top there, this is something that I thought was ingenious. So right here, this is actually one of the sides that came off the miter saw. And what I'm really happy about with this puppy is that it holds all my kind of corner squares, and just stuck that into a bit of wood, and where you go. That's all fine and dandy. Above that, we've got the first clock that I ever made, along with my Woodwork Journey sign that is not great, but is rustic enough to kind of look cool in here, I think. We've got on the far end there, we do have a bunch of clamps. I need to rebuild that clamp rack at some point in time. And then over here, we've got a bunch of hand tools, like Stanley planes and what have you. And yeah, my favorite one is the number 5 that's right on the end there. I use that a lot, that's marvelous. This looks a lot nicer than it actually is. It's quite ropey, so we won't go too close to that one. Over here, we do have all manner of bits and bobs. just walking into things. Got my drill and driver, Erbauer drill and driver, which I've not had any problems with whatsoever, apart from the chuck on the drill is now starting to go a bit wobbly. But I've got the mallet that I made as one of my first ever projects down there. I've got easy access to things like Forstner bits, self-centering drill bits, all that sort of stuff, things that I need access to a lot and very quickly. I've got some squares under there as well, and you know, right down the bottom there we've just got some more bits and pieces. So that's what we've got going on there. We also have some glue and finishes and what have you going on right there. Now in my glue bot I've got some Type Bond 2, but actually in this storage down here I've got Type Bond 3 because I bought this for the winter when it dries a little bit better in the cool, which I think does work out really nicely. Now this table right here, I'll explain this to you in a moment. Really sorry if there's a bunch of background noise, but it's really started raining here at the moment. So this is also from Mamas and Papas and also made of a nice solid wood. However, this is a baby changing table that I got cheap on Marketplace once again. The great thing about this is because you have this inset bit here, stuff doesn't keep falling off. Now I'm a clumsy bugger, so I will knock stuff off a table all the time. This makes that just a little bit less likely to happen. Now then, when I've got in the drawers here, I've got a bunch of hand tools here that I need to organise and sort out and throw out a bunch of stuff. I've made just a little sliding affair going across here just for these are the tools that I bought, the stuff that I want easy access to all the time. So I put the padlock for my workshop in here. When I'm in here, I've got tape measures in here, I've got a pencil, I've got even one of these extendable jobbies, so it's got a magnet on the end, and if you lose something you can and then pick it up, which just makes life easier. Underneath there, for no reason whatsoever, I've got a bunch of hardwood, and then underneath there is another drawer that's just full of extras and stuff that will get used at some point in time. So just, you know, everything from PPE to casters in that bottom drawer down there. In the drawers over there, they have things like a socket set in them and various bits and pieces. This was, when I got this little tiny affair, this was also part of the same thing that I built my sticker cabinet out of, or my coffee cabinet, and was much smaller than I expected. But, you know, it fills a hole, does what it needs to do. I've also put my hand chisels on a French cleat on the side of the wardrobe, just so I can pick them up, put them wherever I want them, and I can dunk them back there again when necessary. Right here we have my DIY router table. Now I made this some time ago, and it was actually a saw table originally, which is why this little smiley face is on here, not just because I'm a super happy chappy. But yeah, it does the trick. It does, I mean, the router doesn't come through the middle because there are so many holes in this top plate that I couldn't fit my router smack bang in the middle of it anymore, so it all needs replacing at some point in time, but it does what I need it to do for the moment. But I've got a fence there that I can move in and out, do what I need to do. And then underneath, we actually have a Bosch router. It's the, I can't remember what size it is, I think it's a, anyway, it's a quarter inch or 3/8 collet size going on in there. I did take the springs out of it because it's got a plunge base, but instead I've got a kind of a really little scissor jack that I got off Amazon for a few quid, which goes under there, and it means that I can raise and lower things nice and easily. So that works out really well. I put a plug on the inside of this system just because I could plug any router that I put into it, and I thought that that would be brilliant. And then I pulled this router all apart so I could take the springs out, so I avoided the warranty anyway. Anyway, this then goes into an NVR switch, which is on the side there, so I've got easy access to be able to turn things on and off when I'm using them. A quality lock on the door right here, as you can tell, so that goes on there like so. But yeah, this router table does what I need it to do. My table saw is another Marketplace find. This is the Axminster Hobby Series, which is super old now, but a Hobby Series TS250, so it's got 250mm blade going on in there. I've got some storage to the side of it. Underneath there, that's where I have access to my sort of tilting angle knob and all this sort of nonsense. So that's in there. This cabinet does need to be replaced at some point soon. But I've got a nice fence on there. I would like this to be longer, to be honest with you. It does the trick. It's not brilliant. I need to remake the zero clearance insert in there as well at some point. On this side, I do have a bunch of drawers and things to allow me to store everything that I need for the table saw. But the dust collection on this saw is absolutely horrific. So that's why it's not plugged into anything at the moment. But yeah, it's truly awful. I actually made this earlier, oh, wrong way. I actually made this earlier on this morning. I just used a plank of wood. I routed it out in the middle to put some T-track in, stuck some T-track on the top of it, and away you go. I've done a video about this particular mitre piece that came off Banggood, and the runner that was very kindly provided by Stu at SP Wood Creations, which I would strongly suggest going to see him for any of your bits and bobs. And on the back of it, you can see that we've got balls all over the place, and that's because I made these resin balls instead of using star knobs, and I thought it was a bit of fun. So yeah, I'd sort of make those in my spare time just for a bit of a giggle. I actually took all of the paintwork and everything off the front of this, sanded it down, and then used Keith Rag & Bone Brown's wax for the outside of that, and that's come up bloomin' lovely. But that's it, that's my workshop. That's the 3x4 metre space that I've got right here, and I'm really happy with it. You know, it's not the biggest, it's not the best looking kind of affair, but it does a grand job, and it does exactly what is needed for me at the very least. Now, one of the things that I am super proud of is the fact that I made pretty much everything in here, and that has helped me on my journey no end. In fact, let me just tell you a little bit more about that, because I think this is an important point to mention if I haven't said so. I've just realised that I've not sussed this app out yet, so I don't really know how to make sure I don't clip. I figure that out later on, but yeah, if my head goes all shiny. I shaved my head today for the first time in weeks because of those stupid injuries. And yeah, I'm a little bit shiny headed. Anyway, what I was saying was I've made all this. I don't think I've said this elsewhere in the video. If not, I will cut this bit out. I did say it earlier on in the video. But as I said earlier on in the video, I think it's super important to be able to make stuff so you know exactly where your skill level's at, and stuff that you can learn along the way to be able to make you better for when you actually start producing things. I hope to be doing some really interesting project builds in the very near future, so hang on for that one. We've got some other bits and bobs going on as well, but hopefully this tour of my little space was useful. I think I've got some nice ideas for storage of stuff. Drawers are my key thing, having space, so, or having like alleyways, so I can, if I fall down, I've got something I can hold myself up on, very important. Seating, very important. Obviously, very important, you know, a coffee cabinet, that's apparently very important. It's something that I've just realised. But otherwise, yeah, it's just trying to organise your shop so you have what you use at hand, and I think I've got most of that kind of sorted now, which I'm really happy with. So if you've got any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments, but hopefully I think I've just hit 1,000 while I've been doing this video. So thank you very much for subscribing, and I will see you very soon. Bye bye.